Hello friends, it's your favorite bard, back with another episode of Replay Theater. So my locals does a weekly Master Duel event where we meet online to test our dueling skills on Master Duel, where cards that are either banned or limited in the TCG are fair game, giving players access to all kinds of different and unique strategies. This week, your favorite bard was undefeated using his favorite deck, Tri-Brigade Zoo. The following replays are my last two duels of that night, which proved to be really difficult and I had to play smart to win. Without further ado, let's link into Master Duel.
It's time to link into the brains.
Okay, so game one, our opponent is on based, which means that he's gonna have almost an infinite number of things that he can do. And it's a bunch of different engines together which will create a board that's really annoying to deal with, and more than likely he's going to try to lock me out of my extra deck using the artifact Scythe Lock. So he's going to start by playing the Adventurer engine. He's going to go ahead and get himself a Griffin Rider, a Dracoback, a Token, Fateful Adventure, plus a Rose Dragon, which will allow him to go into Baron de Fleur. Okay, that's one negate. Rose Dragon gets him a different Rose Dragon, which will grab him the Basil Rose Shoot. Okay, and he goes into another Synchro Summon here, using the Adventurer token and the other Rose Dragon, so that is a Yazi, Evil of the Yang Zing, which the Baron will then pop, so that our boy can go ahead and grab himself a Mare from his deck, and the Mare is going to get busy making tokens. Tokens, which will then become other annoying things. Mare plus a Mare token goes into a Link 2, and that is our Crystron Hulk, which will allow him to extend further by grabbing himself another Rose Dragon, which he will then use for a Synchro Summon of a Cupid Pitch. Cupid Pitch activates, he's going to use the Basil Rose Shoot to grab himself another Rose Dragon from the graveyard. Crystron Hulk and the Red Rose Dragon go into our Artifact Dagda, so just as we thought. Here we go. We're looking at the worst case scenario here with no interruptions in hand. So he's going to go ahead and Synchro Summon into the Borreload Savage Dragon, which he will attach his Crystron Hulk to, if I'm not mistaken, giving him 2 negates, plus the fact that he activates makes it so that Artifact Dagda can put an Artifact Scythe onto the field. And this is what life is. Cupid Pitch will also burn us for 800. That's honestly the least of it, to be honest. But there's the Fusion Destiny, so our boy DPE will be arriving to be annoying also. It's remarkable how just a bunch of engines stapled together at the ends can make this type of board. He will go ahead and activate his DPE to target the Scythe. The Scythe will activate, and I'll try to stop it using the Called by the Grave in my hand. However, with a couple of negates on board, this was never going to resolve well for me. And just like that, Borreload Savage Dragon says, I don't get to play the game this turn. So, bada boom. I see the writing on the wall here and decide, let's go to game 2. Okay, game 2. I'm going to start by playing a Pot of Desires, which is not something that I like to do because it banishes 25% of your deck. However, I would rather the Desires get ashed as opposed to my Tri-Brigade Fractal, which is in my hand. I know what Fractal will get me. Desires is always a coin toss. So, he goes ahead and ashes the Desires. Whatever, here we go. Fractal, we're going to go into our Tri-Brigade Bread and Butter combo. Fractal, Kit, Nerval grabs us a second Fractal from the deck. We normal summon the Fractal, activate his effect to banish 2, and special summon our Bearbrum. Use Bearbrum and Fractal to go into a Link Summon of Rugal. And Bearbrum will activate in Graveyard to grab ourselves the Tri-Brigade Revolt. We'll put back one of the Forbidden Droplets, and this lets us end our board on 3 different interruptions. we'll lose to a Feather Duster, but, you know, I was crossing my fingers hoping it wouldn't happen. Our opponent starts his plays, and that's a level 10 Synchro right out of the gate, which means that we're going to be looking at a Baron de Fleur. I hate how easy it is to make that thing. We grab ourselves the second Rose Dragon, which we're going to imperm right away. That way he can't grab his Basil Rose Shoot. We're going to stop his train of extension here. Okay, but our opponent's going to decide, okay, that's 2. I'm comfortable with a 50-50 shot at tagging that Revolt. And I'm going to go ahead and activate the Revolt. Honestly, I should have activated the Droplet, and then the Revolt, and then all that, but I wasn't thinking. I was just looking to end this game as quickly as possible, so I just activate the Revolt, and we're going to go into our Shirag. And he's going to succeed in popping the Droplet, and then we're going to have some chains to resolve. We're going to start with Shirag first, Nerval second, Kit next. Our opponent is going to try to stop us right here by using the Baron to negate the Kit, and then using a Called by the Grave to target our Nerval. However, since we have Rugal on field, we can activate Rugal to move Nerval out of the graveyard, so Called by the Grave has no target. There's nothing there to call by the Graves, so our Nerval gets to resolve even though our Kit doesn't. We grab ourselves a Karas for follow-up on the next turn, and we banish the Baron de Fleur. Our opponent passes, and we are in a good position here. We're going to start by normal summoning the Nerval, activating the effect to banish 2, put a double Dragon Lords on field, banish that Rose Dragon, and then go into our Access Code Talker using Rugal and Nerval, putting us at more than enough for game. Our opponent sees the writing on the wall and decides to call it, so we move on to Game 3. Okay, so Game 3. Our opponent's going to go first, and we have one interruption that we can use, which is an Ash Blossom, and we're going to go ahead and spend it on the Water Enchantress. I don't know if he has the Rite of Aramasir in hand, but I'm not about to gamble on that, so stop that. We don't get to search our Griffin Rider. We don't get to search our Dracoback. He goes ahead and uses the Apprentice Illusion Magician plus a Rose Dragon to go into the Crestron Helk. Helk will summon the Despot, which means that he's going into his Auroradon play. He's gonna grab his Mecha Phantom Beast Auroradon. And admittedly, my opponent did tell me that at this point he misplayed. I'm not exactly sure what he did wrong or what he was attempting to go for. However, he did say that he shouldn't have activated his Mecha Phantom Beast Auroradon, and him activating the Ghost Ogre in response to it is an attempt of seeing if the effect will fizzle if the Auroradon isn't on field, which it doesn't. So he gets himself a couple of extra tokens here, which will allow him to do some stuff. He's going to go into the Cupid Pitch, and then the Cupid Pitch plus another one of the tokens will get him his Borreload Savage Dragon. And Borreload Savage Dragon plus the Auroradon is a huge body plus 3 negates, which he can activate once per turn. Cupid Pitch will burn us for 800, which we don't really care that much, but it, could be a problem in the long run. Whatever. So we're going to start off by playing our Fire Formation Tanky, grabbing ourselves our Fractal. And we're going to take a gamble here by going with the Fractal, trying to bait out that Borreload Savage negate. Our opponent is actually going to let us go through with a lot, I think, trying to focus on making sure that whatever he negates is something important. We're going to go Kit, banish 2 to get our Farigite. Farigite gets our Zodiac Ramram, and here we're going to try to force his hand. We're going to get ourselves our Zodiac Drident, and Zodiac Drident's going to detach 1 to target the Borreload Savage Dragon to pop it, which he will move to negate. Awesome. This is exactly what we wanted. So now we can start stacking Zodiacs on top of Drident and end on a pretty solid Zeus. We're going to go Chakanine and Chakanine into Borbo. And we're going to use our Karas to special summon himself and go into a Link 4, which we're going to choose Karas. I'm sorry, we're going to choose Shirag. Shirag's going to activate to banish the Borreload Savage Dragon, and our Farigite will activate to draw us a card, but we see that it's the Ash Blossom. We'd rather keep the Revolt, so we're going to put the Ash back, banish the Borreload Savage, and because I don't read cards, I don't realize that that Mecha Phantom Beast is indestructible while there's a token, but whatever. We're going to go ahead and use our Borbo to go into a Zeus. That's 3 materials, which means he's got 1 activation, which, when timed properly, is more than enough. He's going to go Sangan into Almirage, and then Sangan in Graveyard to grab himself Crusadia Arborea, which is not something that I ever thought about. This might be like a really common thing, but I never thought of it, but that's clever. However, I don't like a tuner being on the field with Based, so I'm going to go ahead and fire off the Revolt, grabbing 4 Tri-Brigade monsters, and we're going to go into our second Shirag, which will target the Arborea, being the only tuner on the field presently. We're going to resolve some chains, so Shirag, then Nerval, then Kit. Kit's going to send the Fractal, Nerval's going to grab us a Kit, and Shirag's going to banish the Arborea. He's going to go ahead and link summon into Artifact Dagda. And already that makes me nervous, because if he goes into Dagda, that means he's got a DPE, so that's a Fusion Destiny in hand. And Dagda activates to grab himself the Artifact Scythe from deck and place it on his back row. Now, I do have a lot of really strong things on field already, so I'm not sure if this is like really bad for me, but you know, I know that if I do activate my Zeus, it's going to have to be in response to DPE. So we're going to go ahead and summon the Kit. He goes for the DPE. I'm going to activate Zeus, which will make sure that everything leaves the field at the same time. He's going to try to fire off the Almirage. However, Zeus doesn't destroy. He just sends. So everything that he's got on his field is gone. My Zeus is the only thing that remains. And because he was sent to the graveyard and not destroyed, DPE does not get to come back next turn, which is a good thing. So Zeus for 3,000, and we grab ourselves a Karas off of the Nerval that went to the graveyard, and we have an Infinite Impermanence on field. Our opponent will activate the Dasher to put out Ash Blossom on field, which will allow him to use the Celestial to draw a couple of cards. And I don't know what's in his hand, so I don't know what these things are. However, I am a little worried until I see that it's a Max C that he fires off. So I'm like, okay, he's got nothing. So what we're going to do is we're going to banish 3, put a Doom Eagle on field, and then we're going to link summon into our Access Code Talker. He gets 2 cards, but whatever. You know, we're under Nibiru, so doesn't matter. Access Code Talker pops whatever is on his field. We have more than enough fuel. And we swing for game. GG Based. I don't like how well that deck operates, but, you know, just watching your activations, watching your chains, it's possible to overcome it. Basically, what you want to do is you want to make sure that that Artifact Scythe doesn't resolve, and you want to prevent them from getting to more than 1 negate. You can deal with 1 Baron, you can deal with 1 Borreload Savage Dragon. However, both of them, plus a DPE, plus an Artifact Scythe, super difficult to deal with. And not something that I would want to do routinely, so I tried to leverage all of my plays to make sure that the board that he ended on in Game 1 wasn't something that he managed to do multiple times. Okay, so this is the second duel of the night, and I'm facing Kozmos, which is a deck that I know nothing about. So a lot of the things that my opponent starts doing here are things that I'm not familiar with whatsoever. He uses the field spell to shuffle something back and grab himself a Kozmo from his deck. He activates his 10 cannon. I fire off the Max C thinking that he's going to special summon with him. However, I didn't stop to read the card and didn't realize that what he gets to do is, you know, basically top deck a card that he wants, and he adds his Dark Lady, sending the other 2 to the graveyard. Alright, turn change, and here we go. He's going to fire off the tin can right out of the gate, and again, not knowing what I'm supposed to be doing, I fire off the Called by the Grave thinking that he sent himself to the graveyard, and have to resolve by banishing his farm girl instead. This is why reading cards is important, I guess, but he puts his Dark Lady on the field, and I realize that it's a once per turn negate, and decide, okay, well, we gotta play this smart. He fires off the Max C, we start off with the Pot of Desires, and what I'm thinking of doing here is, depending on what I get, I'm gonna choose my plays as carefully as I can. So I'm gonna fire off the Fractal, go Kit, go Nerval, basically trying to fix my hand by adding the Karas. Because I figure if I put Kit on the field, which is what I do, and activate her effect, and he decides to Dark Lady me, I can still send something from my hand to the graveyard to special summon Karas and keep going that way. So that's what I try. I send Nerval, I put Karas on field. He fires off Dark Lady's secondary effect, allowing him to put a Kozmo ship onto the field, destroying my Karas and leaving me with nothing. Anyway, he uses his field spell to add Tin Can back to hand, takes 100 damage off of it, that's negligible, and then uses the secondary effect to shuffle something back and top deck something. And here we go, Tin Can goes for the attack and then banishes itself to grab another ship. 2 hits. It's a lot, and it doesn't look good. But I got 2 Zodiacs in hand, maybe we can make something happen. There's an Infinite Impermanence. And we're going to start by going Ram into Tiger Mortar. And the whole idea here is we're just going to keep Zodiac climbing so that we can get a big Borbo, attack directly, and then get a big Zeus on field. So we go Tiger Mortar into Chakanine into Borbo. Alright. And he activates Skill Drain. And I try to go Whiptail, thinking to myself, give yourself an attack buff at the very least. But with Skill Drain on field, Borbo goes to 0. Alright, Game 2, there's nothing I can do from this point. Alright, so Game 2. Did I learn my lesson? Can I do better this time? We're about to find out, and I start off by playing the Fire Formation Tanky. Our opponent goes and uses the Max C, and I'm not about that life, so I go ahead and fire off the Ash Blossom, saying no thank you. Yeah, takes care of that problem. So, grab myself the Tri-Brigade Fractal, and we're going to go into the usual combo. Fractal into Kit, Kit into Nerval, and Nerval into a Fractal. Normal summon the Fractal, and activate its effect to banish 2 and go into Tri-Brigade Farigite. Farigite's effect to special summon the Kit in my hand. We're going to go Link Summon into Bearbrum. Farigite will draw us a card, and we're going to opt to put the Nerval back. We're going to use Kit to banish 2, put ourselves a double Dragon Lords on field, and then Link Summon into Tri-Brigade Rugal. Okay, Bearbrum will grab us at the Tri-Brigade Revolt, and we're going to put the Max C, opting to go for Maximum Interruption. Alright. Let's see what our opponent's got in hand. He's going to start with the Pot of Prosperity, digging 6 deep. We see an E-Telly, we see the Skill Drain. Already I'm feeling a little nervous as to what he might use. So he grabs the E-Telly, and uses the E-Telly to put the Kozmo Tin Can on field. Tin Can will fire off, banishing himself to put a Kozmo Dark Lady on field. He activates the field spell, and then uses the field spell to add the Tin Can back to hand, taking damage based off of its attack points. He's going to use the Dark Lady to attack my double Dragon Lords, and admittedly, I do kind of mess up my chains here. I should have fired off double Dragon Lords first, and then chained the Infinite Impermanence. However, I still have the Tri-Brigade Revolt, and I think to myself, maybe it's not too far lost. Maybe I can make a comeback here, we'll see. So I'm going to put 4 monsters on field, and I'm going to Link Summon into my Tri-Brigade Shirag, the Ominous Omen. Okay, got some links to resolve, so double Dragon Lords will be negated. Infinite Impermanence will negate the Dark Lady. A little too late, but whatever. Alright, so Shirag first, Bear Brum second, Kit next, and Nerval last. And this is where our opponent goes ahead and uses the Forbidden Droplet to send his field spell from the field spell zone to the graveyard, targeting my Shirag and lowering his attack points down to 1500. Not good, but okay, we're gonna fix our hand a little bit. We're gonna put back the Rugal, or I'm sorry, the Karas, and we're gonna keep the Tri-Brigade Revolt, hopefully to use it as a future disruption. And we're gonna activate the Shirag Engrave to grab ourselves a Nerval. So we went from having nothing in hand to having 2 cards in hand. Not the worst, and so I feel like this is probably still a good place to be. He's going to go ahead and use the tin can to grab himself a Kozmo ship, and here we go. Let's see what happens. So I draw the Infinite Impermanence, and he's going to use the Kozmo tin can to special summon the ship in his hand. The ship is going to activate to create a token, and I decide let's go straight into the battle phase and use the Kaiju that took away my Rugal to hit the Dark Lady. He uses the ship to create another token, and then uses one of the tokens to go into the Link Spider. And we know where this is going. 2 effect monsters into Verte Anaconda. Verte Anaconda will activate to send Fusion Destiny, and we know better than to let this resolve. So I'm gonna use the Infinite Impermanence to say, yeah, you thought. Alright, we're gonna go into the end phase, and I'm gonna activate the Tri-Brigade Revolt, summoning Bear Brum, Kit, Nerval, and Shirag. Because Shirag, whenever he hits the grave, will draw us a card once again. So we're gonna go into a second copy of Shirag. We'll go Shirag first, Kit second, Nerval third, and Shirag last. Okay, so Shirag will get us a Karas from deck. Nerval will get us a Kit from deck. Kit will send another Nerval to the graveyard. We're going to banish the token. And I feel like I know for a fact that my opponent will not survive this next turn, so I'm just going to summon Kit, banish 3, get a Doom Eagle on board, banish the Verte Anaconda, and go straight into battle. GG, but I'm still walking on eggshells here because I'm still not 100% sure where to hit this deck for negations and for interruptions. Alright, game 3. Let's see if we can take this one home. So, our opponent's going to go first, and he's going to start off with a field spell. Activate the field spell, and do the same thing that he's done the past 3 duels. Show a couple of ships in hand, grab 2 cards from deck, and then he's going to set 2. He's going to fire off the tin cannon. I'm just going to ash it right now, that way he stays with 1 card in hand. I don't really want him to have any kind of advantage, especially given what this deck can do. Okay, I'm going to draw into the Forbidden Droplet and fire off the Pot of Desires. Now, you can't see this here, but this Desires banished my entire Tri-Brigade core. Which is why I grabbed the Thoroughblade. I go Kit into Almirage, and whenever Kit fires off in the graveyard, I have nothing except for a Karas to send to the graveyard. So this is the worst case scenario for me. I'm going to set the Forbidden Droplet and pass, and I'm going to ash his tin can whenever it tries to fire off again. I really don't want him to have any advantage, given that my entire plan A just went out the window. So he's going to draw, and he's going to go tin can into a special summon, which I'm going to use the max C to make sure that I draw into a card. At this point, I'm kind of racking my brain, not really knowing what I can draw into that would help, but something's got to help, and this Harpy's Feather Duster will be a huge help next turn. So he's going to use the field spell to grab himself the tin can back from the banish zone. Going to take some burn damage. Going to shuffle a Kozmo and grab himself the Farm Girl. Farm Girl's gonna smack into the Almirage and then activate to draw the Dark Lady, take some burn damage, and then banish to put Dark Lady on field. Dark Lady will hit, and so will the ship. This looks like a bad situation for me, but we're about to see what I can do with this coming turn. So I'm going to draw into a Maxi, and I'm going to start off by playing the Feather Duster. Now, before he can say or do anything, I'm going to use Droplet to send both of my on-field spells, the Tanky and the Feather Duster, to the graveyard to negate both of his monsters on field and destroy the rest of his stuff. Field Spell does have an effect that lets him grab a Farm Girl, but whatever. We're going to try to do as much as we can this turn. I am concerned as I start climbing the Zodiac ladder that I might run into an Nibiru at some point, but I decide to just go for it, now or never. Let's see what happens. If it works, it works, and if not, we go out in a blaze of glory. I'm going to activate Whiptail in hand to attach it to my Chakanine, and then I'm going to go into the Trident, and I'm going to activate Trident to destroy the Dark Lady. And he's going to try to negate me, but hey, you've been dropleted, son, so you can't do anything there. Dark Lady goes away, and we climb once more into our Borbo. Now, because Borbo has Whiptail attached, whatever he destroys by battle is banished instead. So, ba-boom, we go straight into the Zeus. Our Zeus has 5 materials, which means that it has 2 different activations. And our opponent's going to start by putting Farm Girl. Farm Girl's going to go into Dark Lady. And it scares me when he goes into the battle phase because I'm thinking evenly matched. But no, thankfully not. I'm going to activate Zeus. He's going to try to Dark Lady. And I'm going to say, get impermed, baby. Alright, Zeus sends Dark Lady to the graveyard, and we're in a good place right now. As good as it can get, given our starting situation. So I'm going to put Zeus into attack position, attack directly, set the Called by the Grave. Hopefully that's enough. Our opponent decides, you know what, can't win this, puts Destiny Hero Celestial on field and attacks directly into the Zeus. And that is the second victory for the night.